Okay.
The Warriors have come out to play. And no, not the Golden State Warriors, but your 9-0 AFC champion New England Patriot Road Warriors. The first time me and this man to my right talked ever on this show. It's about 5.5 years ago. Ironically, after the Drew Lock-led Denver Broncos kicked 6 field goals to beat the New England Patriots because Cam Newton couldn't connect with, I believe it was N'Keal Harry on a 4th down. And now we're one more win to that 7th heaven.
It's unbelievable when you think about it. And, it's crazy to think that was, 5 years ago. We're doing this in 2020 and it's, obviously, you think about the 20-year dynasty and everything and it ends and, and the way things have gone the last few years and, 4-13 and everything else. It's just crazy to think about like how good we had it for so long.
Yep.
And then, you lose it and we're just bad. Obviously 2021, you have a good year, make the playoffs, get absolutely shellacked by the Bills in the first round. But, it's one of those interesting things where it's like now the Patriots, not only are the Patriots relevant again, they're in the Super Bowl and they're 60 minutes away from a 7th title. And it's wild to think how far they've come in such a short period of time.
It really is just the whole take things for granted because, look, I've seen a lot of Bills fans this week jump on that whole 2021 where I'm like, that team, that was schedule luck and to an extent and a fraudulent football team. That team overachieved to no extent. It was like, if you look at that stretch they had from basically when they mollywopped the Jets to the Colts game. The Colts game was their true identity coming out. We just didn't know it yet. Because I think the following week they had that game against the Bills where it was like, hey, they played tough. Damian Harris had 3 touchdowns, but I think it's just there. And then the next year was just a weird fest of just like, what is this? And then, who would have thought that terrible Giants game 2 years ago literally changed, like the trajectories of 2 franchises went from here to here.
As unbelievable.
As we do that, we're live reacting because I have NFL honors on, and we're going to see if Mike Vrabel gets Coach of the Year or not. They're about to do that right now.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. But no, just with this team, it's just the journey of the last couple of years. Because even I love everyone's like, oh, they should have Mike Vrabel for 2023. No, I'll respect Robert Kraft for keeping his word. Obviously, we respect Robert Kraft a hell of a lot more than certain people do. But the thing with that is, hey, I'm going to bring Gerard on. He's going to coach the team. But for Kraft to realize, hey, this isn't working and make that change, because there's a very good chance they could have stuck with Gerard and we're in another purgatory, as it wouldn't be a Super Bowl show without this man as well, McGarvin hopping on with us as well. But essentially, just going back to our main point of it, he realized, hey, Gerard ain't it. McGarvin was a big proponent of that all throughout last year, where you realize he's just not coaching guys. He's just not it. To where now you're led by a guy who's, you got to lay a little blood in January. He's just that fun guy you like who's going to coach you. But at the same time, too, with Mike Vrabel, it's just the overall stature of, hey, when I want to have fun, I want to have fun. But when you guys got to go to work, and who is now the 2025 Coach of the Year?
Mm-hmm.
Awkwardly not there.
Yeah, that's okay. That's quite all right that he's not there. Yeah. I think the big thing, and it's a great point, Griff. I think, and people have talked about Robert Kraft doing this, but for me, it's the amount of money that he had to shell out.
Yeah.
And not just the amount of money that he had to shell out, the fact that he had to own, he's the reason it happened, right? He made the mistake. He put it in his contract to say he was going to take over for Belichick. It's in there. It's just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's in the contract. There's nothing I can do about it. So I have to honor the contract. You honor the contract. You hire the guys around him. And it's an absolute disaster. And you could do what the Jets did this year and bring them back and say the OC is the problem, the DC is the problem, the quarterback's coach is the problem, the offensive line coach is the problem. All those guys are the problem, but the head coach isn't the problem because he's the guy I got to pay a ton of money to. And instead, they clean house and they start fresh. And I think that makes, and obviously they bring in Mike Vrabel, and it helps when you have a guy like Mike Vrabel who's as good as he is that wants to coach here as well.
Mm-hmm.
But to bite the bullet and swallow your pride and take out your paycheck or take out your checkbook, I'm sorry, I think that makes a big difference. And that's the difference between, Robert Kraft and some of the owners out there. A lot of owners aren't doing that. Jerry Jones famously won't fire his head coaches until they're in their final year of their deal because he doesn't want to pay them that much.
Mike Brown's the exact same in Cincinnati right now with Zach Taylor.
Yep. So it's, and credit to really credit to Kraft for doing that. Obviously, he screwed up in the first place. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. We should have had Mike Vrabel last year. But we got where we are right now. We got Will Campbell out of the deal. So I guess I'll take that. But, it's they rectified the wrong that they did in 2024, in 2025. And here we are with Mike Vrabel as, the NFL's head coach of the year and the Patriots playing for the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna defer to McGarvin just because obviously you and I have been talking and he jumped on midway through our thing, but just it's just really remarkable to where we've come just over the last few years. I know everyone's gonna say, "Oh, poor us, woe was you." It just shows that winning in this league ain't easy, and the teams that are dedicated to doing it are gonna do what it takes to do it, and that's what we've seen from Kraft over the last 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I jumped in when y'all were talking about the Mayo firing, which obviously should have happened. He shouldn't have gotten the job in the first place, but that's water under the bridge at this point. So good on Kraft for making that decision. Didn't love the idea of just, hey, we're just gonna go straight to Vrabel, and I was pretty vocal about that, mainly because I think if following up the Mayo situation and failing as spectacularly as he did, I was eager for some new faces. Like let's go ahead and wrap this up and get some new guys in here and really kind of switch it up. We can't just run it back with the same guys, the same kind of guys. And obviously Vrabel comes in, he wins head coach of the year, and that that's awesome, right? I'm super excited about that. But I think something that can't be forgotten is you bring back Josh McDaniels, and he's assistant coach of the year, and that guy's been absolutely incredible. So good on Kraft for going out and getting Vrabel, and surprisingly good on him for installing Josh McDaniels, right? Because we heard over last offseason that the OC hire was really in place from top down, right? Like Ian Rappaport reported, and Tom Pelissero reported at the last year's Super Bowl that they brought in Vrabel and kind of let him know like, hey, we have Josh and he's going to be the OC. Are you cool with that? And he gave the okay. So good on Kraft for making that decision to bring in Vrabel, but good on Vrabel for being as flexible as he is to be like, hey, that's fine. If y'all want to install Josh, that's fine. And we see that pay dividends. And I've always been a big, Josh McDaniels guy anyway. Like, I think that guy is so underrated. He gets way more shit than he deserves. And so it's nice to see him, take home some hardware because, that guy's been doing it at a high level for a very long time. And people just want to harp on, oh my gosh, he's going to throw a screen on 3rd and long, or he's going to run a draw on 3rd and medium and all that. But by and large, he knows what he's doing, and, let him cook. And we saw what happened. You gave him a quarterback. Vrabel kind of stepped out of the way and was like, "Hey, you go ahead and run the offense, and we're in a Super Bowl, right?" Like that. Yeah. That doesn't happen without people putting their egos aside. And we know that every figure in the NFL, and this is all of them, right? And I hate when people try to, talk about it in a way that like, oh, this person has a big ego. And I'm like, they all have big egos, right? Like they're in the NFL. You don't get to that level of the profession without having a huge, massive ego that goes from, to Bill to Tom to, every other coach in the league, every other coordinator in the league, all of the superstars in the league, they all have a huge ego. So when you have guys who can come in and put that ego to the side and say, hey, all right, like I'm willing to play a little ball with, who we hire or how we run the team from a coaching staff. That's worthy of, commendation there for sure.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, the voting just came out. I'm sorry. The voting just came out for the coach of the year. Vrabel with 19 votes, Liam Cohen with 16, Mike McDonald with 8, Kyle Shanahan with 6, and Ben Johnson with only 1. But I I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Liam Cohen did a great job. I'm actually surprised Kyle Shanahan didn't get more with the amount of injuries they had this year. But I thought Vrabel, Liam Cohen, and Mike McDonald were the three guys that deserved it the most, and they were the top 3 vote getters. And so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no. Because like Liam Cohen turned around a program. Like I still remember Jacksonville when they beat Carolina week 1, and then you had Shad Khan with the this is what we envisioned in January speech. Everyone's kind of like, okay, where's this going? What's going on here? But then, the season started going on, and they started figuring things out. And then you have New England, where it's kind of the same formula to where it was like, hey, you just went on a run. Obviously, look, we're not going to bring up the schedule arguments because it's silly at this point, but you play who's in front of you. You play to win. And, it is what it is. But I like that voting. I didn't think it was going to be, I honestly think the only unanimous vote was going to be for Defensive Player of the Year, which it was. It's just, I'm really intrigued to see what the MVP voting looks like. Because I've seen people, I voted for Stafford. I voted for May. Whoever voted for anyone else. It's one of those things where I'm just like really intrigued about that. But going back to this team as a whole for the season, it's really just, going to the game now. I just don't understand where a lot of the disrespect's coming from. I think a lot of people still have that, what I'm starting to call PP post-traumatic stress, PTSD. Yeah, PTSD, but I'm adding a P for the Patriots. Post-Patriots traumatic stress disorder. Where it's like, oh my God, it's Tom Brady. It's this. It's the, round 2 versus the Rams. And everyone's like, okay, you're playing the Seahawks. Like, how is your social media person not been fired yet? And it's like, moron. They won the thing. It's like today we get to do this. We're getting to talk about the Super Bowl on the anniversary of one of the greatest Super Bowls we've ever got to witness. I feel like having this kind of show at that time would have been awesome, but obviously it's neither here nor there. But it's just this thing now where there's a lot of people, I've been seeing, I feel like a lot of what's going on with this game is kind of like what went on before Houston, where I was seeing, hey, Woody Marks ran for 100 yards. Let's see what we can do against the Patriots. And I'm like, okay, that Texans defense is going to eat Drake alive. It did. But here's the thing with that Houston game. Who made a beautiful throw to Kayshon Boutte when he absolutely needed to? Who ran and made some plays? He didn't play perfect. Drake doesn't have to go and play a perfect 60 on Sunday to win this game. You just got to make plays at the right time to get the win. It's even like the Denver game. Obviously, I haven't had much of a show since then, but when you look at the Denver Bronco game, ran for the touchdown, went on a given opportunity, and hey, that video, and we were bringing up earlier, of Josh McDaniels, I know it's hard. You get through these next 6 minutes, everyone's going to remember it forever. And when he called the scramble, it was either 2nd and 6 or 3rd and 6 when he rolled out and he beat the other Ellis brothers. McGarvin likes to refer to it because obviously there's 3 of them now. But
the good ones in Atlanta.
Yes. But with that though, when you see Drake roll out and make that play to win the game, another example of that I want to bring up is the Atlanta Falcons game. Not the best game they play. Like, obviously it was a good game. Defense got Drake London was Drake in that game. But Drake had to make a play when he had to make a play, and he's done it all year long. So I feel like if he goes out there and truly puts the team on his back and has a mistake-free game, that's where the Band-Aid of, okay, we got to stop disrespecting this guy, and it's the Patriots or the Patriots is no longer. You can take your I like the sports gamble, but whatever the heck's going on, like those Kalshi or Polymarket apps, even though I'm convinced whoever runs Polymarket absolutely just hates the Patriots or is a Bills fan. This team is capable of doing it in the big moments, and you can say how each team looks relaxed. Drake, I think, is just another level of locked in right now. It's just like what I've seen this week from the media stuff. Hell, you have one of our good receivers making people play chess to ask him a question. My only question is just which reporters won there. And I'm like, when I saw that photo today, I had to bring that up. When I saw that photo of people just taking Mac playing chess, I'm like, he's looking at you like, oh, you think you're going to beat me? No. I'm going to beat you. Like, I'm one step ahead of you. But just turning it all around, I just feel like, I don't know why there's the disrespect, but I feel like, too, it's just a general standard of eventually you're going to have to learn to respect this team no matter what happens Sunday night in 72 hours from now, whether all 3 of us are euphoric or if it's disappointment.
Yeah, I think the disrespect really comes from the fact that just a lot of people, how do I say this? A lot of people who have a lot of things to say, especially on Twitter, just don't really watch the sport, right? They don't like actually watch football. They watch their team for sure. So they don't really watch the sport. And as a result, they get all of their information from, talking heads or, social media accounts with huge followings. And as a result, you have people who have these very narrow viewpoints. They're like, oh, the Patriots haven't played anyone, therefore they're bad. And it's like, well, have you actually watched them play? Because there's a reason that we are now in the third week in a row, or now the fourth game in a row, where everyone's like, oh, just wait. They're gonna kill this week. Just wait. They're gonna finally play somebody. And it's like, right, but they've been doing this all year, right? They didn't win 17 games by mistake. They didn't luck into that. What are we on? But because they don't watch the games, they don't know that, right? They just look at the stats after the fact. They're like, oh, well, they only threw for X amount of yards, or, oh, the defense had this amount of plays, and whatever the case is there. And as a result, people get these really skewed viewpoints, especially where we get, into Super Bowl week, where I don't know why, but we're getting so much more MVP discourse, which is wild to me because the voting is done. We're just going to get the award, it's over. But we're getting a lot of the MVP talk. And so when you consume nothing but these shows and they're telling you hey, the Patriots aren't that good for this, and that reason, people are then going to go well, I haven't watched the Patriots, and the people who have are telling me they're bad. I haven't watched the Seahawks, and the people who have are telling me they're good. So therefore, the Patriots are going to lose, right? And so they come in with these viewpoints, and people don't like being wrong on the internet. People just don't like it. Being wrong sucks. I get it, but people don't like being wrong on the internet. So then when they get the pushback of, well, no, actually, New England could win because of these reasons, they just double down. They're like, no, absolutely not. They're going to get smoked, blah, 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 blowout incoming, all that. And you're like, okay, cool. But again, you are someone who hasn't watched this team at all. Right, you haven't watched either of these teams at all, and you're getting your information from Ryan Clark on TV or Darren Orlovsky telling you hey, here's how it's going to go. And to sound smart and to feel real good about yourself, you regurgitate that, and you double down when people call you on it. And so I think we're just kind of almost in a bubble, right? Where we're just hearing the same talking points echoed back, and back, and it's like, holy shit, can y'all just shut the fuck up and watch the teams, or just wait till the game? It really is that simple. I think we saw it over the course of the playoffs, how it unfolded. Patriots were supposed to lose against the Chargers because, obviously, the Patriots aren't very good and the Chargers are very good. And then they lost. Well, that doesn't matter. The Chargers weren't good anyway. But
Justin Herbert's a playoff choker.
Just watch for Houston. You're going to see this is an all-time defense, 86 Bears, let me tell you. And they go out there and they lose. Oh, well, they weren't that good anyway. Just wait till Denver, though. I know it's a backup quarterback, but Jarrett Stidham, he can surprise you. If he plays his A game, him and Drake May, they're not that different. Then they go out and lose, and it's like, oh, well, he sucked anyways. And it's like, please stop. Just please stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think people are consuming football, appropriately, in terms of, of watching the actual games. And as a result, they're having takes that are half baked, and they're doubling down on them because no one likes to be wrong on the internet.
Well, and the media narratives, I think, are so funny. And you talk about the echo chamber, and it is so funny because I feel like there are more options than ever. I always tell my students the entire wealth of human knowledge is on the internet, right? And somehow we're dumber than we've ever been. And I just, and part of that is because we are intentionally fed information that we want to hear, right? We have the For You pages. It's not a following page. You're not listening to what your friends say. You're listening to what random people say and what the algorithm thinks you want to hear. And so if you don't like the Patriots, you're getting anti-Patriots information. And so that's all you're getting. You're not getting anything good about the Patriots. You think the Patriots stink. And so then you're like, oh, well, then they must lose. And then the schedule talk to me is hysterical because, first of all, they have the almost identical record as the Bills.
Lost to Michael Penix and Tua.
Right, correct. And so you have almost exactly the same schedule as the Bills, who played 3 different games than you. Fine. Okay. You play the Chargers, and to your point, McGarvin, you play the Chargers. The Patriots going to lose. No, they beat the Chargers. Well, the Chargers stink. That was an easy game. Okay. Everyone picks the Texans. The Patriots, oh, well, CJ Stroud's terrible. Well, you all picked the Texans. Everyone said the Texans were going to win, and they didn't. So, maybe that has something to do with the Patriots. And the Broncos, same thing. So it's one of those things where it's I just think it's kind of funny. And right now, I think it was FanDuel or I don't know who it was, tweeted out. One of the big sports books tweeted out, and they said the Seahawks are the first team ever with 70% of the spread bets going to them. The spread's 4.5 points. 70% of the spread bets have gone towards the Seahawks. So you're talking about the amount of people that are betting not only for the Seahawks to win, but for them to win by 5+ points. And again, it just comes back to this idea that the Patriots just aren't that good. They're a nice story, but they're not that good, and they don't have the talent, and they're not this, and they're not that. And I just think, and I made this point on a show. So I actually did a podcast this afternoon, and we were talking about who has the better team. And right now, on paper, if you look at just the roster on paper, certainly the media narrative-wise, you would say Seattle has the better team overall, right? They have some really proven players. They have a dominant wide receiver one. They have a very good running back. They have some really, really good pieces on defense. They have some very good, young tackles on offense, whatever, right? So all those guys. You have Cooper Kupp, who, was a former Triple Crown winner and is a good wide receiver in his own right. But if you go back to the 2001 Super Bowl, I think everyone would wholeheartedly agree that the Rams had a significantly better roster than the Patriots.
They were a 14.5-point favorite, I believe.
But then you look at it and say, Pro Football Hall of Famer Ty Law, Pro Football Hall of Famer Richard Seymour, career leader in postseason sacks Willie McGinnis, Patriots Hall of Famer Mike Vrabel, Patriots Hall of Famer Teddy Bruschi, greatest player of all time Tom Brady. And you start going down the line of Patriots Hall of Famer Troy Brown. And you're like, maybe the Patriots weren't as bad as we thought. Maybe the disparity in talent wasn't as big as we thought it was going to be. And you combine that with good coaching, not just good coaching, with great coaching for the Patriots in 2001, and hopefully great coaching this year. And you're able to bridge that talent gap very easily. And, that's your path to victory. And it's just no one's talking about that right now because it's like, well, they're clearly a superior team. They went 14-3. Well, the Patriots went 14-3 as well. But, we don't have to talk about that. But that's fine. It's just such a silly narrative.
So I got a couple facts here just brought up from he's come on my Twitter a lot this week. His name's Jordan Moore. I think he works with DraftKings. Do you know the last 5 Super Bowls favorites have only won once, and that was the Rams in 22?
It's crazy.
The betting favorite going into the game. And also another fun Patriot fact, besides the also for the disrespect portion, 8 of 8 athletic personalities selected the Seahawks, 47 of 57 ESPN personalities, and 30 of the 34 NFL Network personalities. Meaning that out of Pat's a math guy. I don't know 57 plus 34 off the top of my head. I believe that's 91. Out of 99 people, 14 picked the Patriots to win. 83-14. And also another fun fact, if the Patriots win Sunday, regardless of, most Super Bowls of all time, if they win Sunday, they'll have had to won a Super Bowl in every single time zone in the continental United States. East, Central, Mountain. They just need Pacific.
Is that real? There's no way that's real. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. That's great. They have to now. They got to play a game in Hawaii. They got to play a Super Bowl over in Europe,
Australia.
There was a time when the Patriots were the only team to have ever won a Super Bowl in February. They won the first 2 Super Bowls ever played in February. So, actually, I believe they won the first 3 Super Bowls ever played in February.
And then the only other and then another one he had is that Drake May will be the youngest to history to win if the Patriots win. The only quarterbacks younger: Brady, Mahomes, Roethlisberger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's just, and also too the fact that the Patriots are 5-0 when that little groundhog in Pennsylvania sees his shadow. If they win Sunday, it'll be 6-0. So just a lot of crazy parallels with that. The biggest thing,
I believe that's not correct though. I'm pretty sure that when they lost to the Eagles, that he saw his shadow. I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly certain that that's the case.
I just see here 2002, 2004, 5, 15, 17. It doesn't say anything about 18 in there. I'll have to double check that one out. Also, I sent McGarvin just for reference. I did send you that. Just sent you that tweet. I'll send it to Pat after the show. The one about the time zone stuff. The biggest thing just with this game too, though, is the fact that even, say if they lose, because I still think this is a close game. I think that 4.5 point spread is a lock. I think they're covering that. I just don't see a world where the Patriots get blown out. Like, if you look at their 2 worst games of the year, it was what? As we're about to see the Pro Football Hall of Fame stuff, which I don't even want to talk about. But the mere fact that even if they lose a close game, you're still going to get that, this narrative, that narrative. My question is what happens Monday morning if the Patriots win and the Seattle Seahawks don't look good and Sam Darnold, I don't want to say sees ghosts, but you know what? The Patriots, so many people on Twitter were jokingly saying, like, hey, he had to deal with ghosts in the past, but Patriots have Lord Voldemort on the sidelines now, number 14.
But by the way, sorry to interrupt. All 3 of the Patriots' losses in the dynasty, he saw a shadow.
So they're 5-3. They're 5-3. Okay. Actually, I have the first Hall of Famer is not a surprise, Larry Fitzgerald. What was I going to say? But I just go back now to the whole narrative of, Monday morning, if the Patriots win, is it going to be, hey, the Patriots played a good game? Or is it going to be, hey, Seattle crap the bed? Because I still believe that, and how obviously, there's a lot of debate right now with the whole Bill Belichick stuff, that his game plan from Super Bowl 25 is in the Hall of Fame. And that's what I think the Patriots are going to do Sunday. I don't know how much involvement Terrell Williams is he's going to have in the game plan. I don't know if he's coaching or if he's just there for be with the guys. But the way that I look at Sunday's game plan is I think they're going to force Sam to throw the ball and just neutralize Kenneth Walker. That's what I honestly think is going to happen. I know everyone's looking at too, like, Rashid Shaheed as well, where I'm like, he's good. But the one holdover, hey, Adam Vinatieri got in. I think that's Vinatieri.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's Vinatieri. Yeah. It is Vinatieri. It is so far it's Vinatieri, Kuechly, and Fitzgerald in.
Right.
But I just think that if you have that game plan, and it's where you force Sam to throw. I even love the whole stuff, JSN's great, this. Have we not seen what Christian Gonzalez did in 3 straight playoff games this year? Like, besides, I'm just looking at that where I'm like, there's just a lot to it where I'm like, okay, that's just the other thing as well with this game. I just that's really what I think is going to happen. They're going to make Sam force him, throw the ball, force him into those uncomfortable situations. But with the defensive side of the ball, because we'll get into offensive in a second, is there an X factor defensively that could really turn this game on its head?
For the Patriots?
Yeah.
Milton Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I meant not X factor, but just or an unsung hero, a guy that we're not thinking of right now.
Well, I wasn't thinking of Milton Williams till just now, so I'm gonna go with Milton Williams. No, I do think he's going to be a big deal, but I think Carlton Davis is gonna have to play like he played against Houston, right? He's gonna have to just lock down, and he's been good all year. Personally, I think so anyway. I mean, that guy allows 30 yards a game, and people are calling for his head because of the penalties. But I think if he plays the game that we've seen him play when he's really locked in, I think Patriots are going to be a tough out. I know that Christian Gonzalez is going to do what Christian Gonzalez always does. People are fretting over the matchup with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he's a great player, obviously, but Gonto's a great player too. What are we talking about here? And then the Rashid Shaheed factor doesn't really register to me. He's a good player as well. Patriots have already played him this year. I think he had 4 for 27. And he saw a lot of Marcus Jones, and he was just tired of seeing Marcus Jones by the end of the game because he just wasn't getting there. I think he had 7 targets, 4 catches, 28 yards. So not a ton of production. Now, obviously, there's a discrepancy in quarterback play there, right? Because you have Spencer Rattler was the quarterback at the time that the Patriots went down there and played New Orleans, and he's no Sam Darnold. But I agree with you. I think the game plan is going to be to neutralize that run game, and if the Patriots can turn this into a true drop back game, and I mean drop back, no play action, a game where they're just hey, we're going to drop back 3-5 step drops and let Sam Darnold throw it. I think if the Patriots can turn it into that kind of game, I think they win. they win pretty like safely too, like not like a huge lead, but like they win and you're not feeling like, ooh, we kind of got lucky there. Ooh. Yeah, I think if they can just get him into a passing game, you're going to feel pretty good about that, because I think their interior and I just don't know why this isn't being talked about, but Seattle's O-line isn't that good, right? Like they're not bad, but they're like not that good. People are like talking about them like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. The O-line's going to protect Sam. They're going to have all day. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have y'all watched them? Have y'all actually watched them? Because like that interior is in trouble, right? You have 90 and 97 like going up the middle. They're going to have to figure that out. And if they can't figure that out, they're going to lose that game. Now, if they do, and I'm not saying that they can't, but if they do, then they're in a good spot. But if they can't figure that out, they're going to be in trouble. And more importantly, if the Patriots do what the Patriots do against the run, right, what they're known to do against the run with 97 on the field, again, you're going to put it on like Sam to go out there and do it. You know what they want to do in Seattle. They want to run the ball. They want to get outside the tackles and run the football, and they want to run play action off of that. Get Sam Darnold out on the move the pocket, let him get comfortable, look, see the lanes downfield off play action, throw the ball down the field. If there is no running game and there's no threat for the running game, and you have 90 and 90, 97 and 94, Corey Durden, let me not leave him out of the conversation, because that guy's been real good. If you get them going upfield, I think Sam, you can get to Sam Darnold, right? And I don't mean like physically get to him. I mean like get to Sam Darnold, right? I know that people will bring up the whole 2019 seeing ghost thing, and for whatever reason, over the course of the last 3-ish days, I feel like people are kind of misinterpreting what that meant, right? People are talking about that game like, oh, he's seeing ghosts in terms of like, he doesn't know what he's looking at or whatever. That's not the case. The case was he was feeling pressure that wasn't there. He still does that, right? That was the reason, like when he left Minnesota, right, last year when he lost that playoff game.
He played terrible too in the Week 18 game as well. Absolutely.
And he was leaving. Vikings fans were kind of like, we'll probably be fine with JJ, because they saw like, all right, like if you pressure him enough, he's going to start reacting to pressure that isn't there, and he's going to start making some mistakes. That's just kind of how he's always been. Now in Seattle, he hasn't had to deal with that a ton, right? And especially because Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's just giving him the outlet. But it's a little different when you have a Christian Gonzalez matched up across him. Is he going to get open and find some space? Absolutely. Is he going to do it as quickly as he's been doing it all year? Absolutely not, right? Like Christian Gonzalez is no Diamador Lenore. Let's be so real here. Like people are just like, oh, well, you saw what he did to Demo, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, what are we actually talking about? Like, watch the games. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if they can get to Sam Darnold, I feel pretty good about it.
Well, I think the other part of it too is that you look at the Broncos game, right? I know the Broncos don't love to run the ball. That's not their offense, is to run the ball. They dropped back to pass 34 times. Jarrett Stidham attempted 31 passes in a freaking snowstorm, right? Like, what the hell are we doing? Well, they had to do that because they couldn't run the ball. They just couldn't run it, no matter what they did. And if you can stop this Seattle running game, Seattle does not want to pass the ball. On neutral downs, they're 29th in the NFL on neutral pass percentage. They don't want to pass the ball. If they have to, they will. They're a good passing team, but they are a running team. Kenneth Walker's a fantastic running back. He's tough to bring down. He's tough to tackle, even when you have guys unblocked in the backfield. Like they had 3 guys unblocked in the backfield in a touchdown run, and he still scored a touchdown, right? So, like, he's not easy to bring down. The Patriots have done a fantastic job against the run this year. They've done it without stacking the boxes. They have done it at times with blitzing, but for the most part, it's been penetration from their defensive linemen and integrity on the edges that have stopped guys from being able to run the ball. And I think the big thing for me that I look at is if the Patriots are in this position and they can stop the run, you make Sam Darnold beat you. Sam Darnold led the NFL in turnovers this year. He led the NFL in turnovers. Now, I'm not telling you he's going to throw 5 interceptions. I'm not telling you he's going to have a see and ghost game. I'm not telling you he's going to do that. But I am telling you, if you put this game on his shoulders and you can stop the run, that's your best chance of winning. That gives the Patriots the best overall chance of winning the game. And is JSN a great player? Yes, he is. And AJ Terrell is a great corner, and there were multiple times when he just smoked AJ Terrell. I think 3 plays in a row on one drive, to be honest with you. But I don't care. Gonzo is better than AJ Terrell, number one. And number two, I also think that the Patriots are going to play a decent amount of zone because we want to try to take away JSN for sure. But we're also not running coverages where Gonzo's chasing him across the field. It just doesn't, there's no reason to be able to do that. And so we're going to play some zone and we're going to play some match coverage and we're going to, maybe roll some safeties over there and kind of go from there. But I just think that the Patriots, if they can stop the run, and I do think that they can, especially if Robert Splain's healthy, you look at it and say, okay, now what? Anthony Jennings has been playing outside of his mind. He's been playing fantastic on the edge. Harold Landry's probably coming back. Those are the things where it's like, okay, then Chasen comes in to rush the passer, but man, and Kyrus Tonka's been playing incredible. It's all of these guys together, and you look at it and say, yeah, man, this defense is awesome at stopping the run. And that's what the Seahawks want to do. And not having Zach Charbonnet is a massive loss for them. Kenneth Walker has 0.0 games with over 20 carries. Does not have one this year. Had 2 last year. So the thing about it is that he's not that guy that gets 25, 30 carries a game. Now, they might do it in this game because they want to try to win that way, but the Patriots are going to try to take that away. If they can take that away, that changes the game. And now Seattle has to pass. And the biggest part of it for me is that I think you're going to get 1 or 2 turnovers from Sam Darnold. It's taking advantage of those turnovers. And I think you want to start early. If the Patriots get up to a 10 to 14 point lead and Seattle's chasing, and then the run's not really working, and now it's on Darnold to throw the ball, it could get ugly. And I'm not saying the Patriots are going to win by 30 or anything like that, but that's the path to the Patriots kind of having an easy victory is to get out to an early lead. Both of these teams really haven't played from behind all year long. So you get out to an early lead, you stop the run, and you make Sam Darnold beat you. And that's the path right there. You look at it and say, oh my God, man. And, Darnold's then seeing guys and they're getting at him, and that's one of those things. But sheesh, it's really, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's the simple fact that you even turn it around to it. If this team, because here's the thing with the Seahawks defense, when I look at it, I look at the Seahawks defense in the same light as a hybrid. I feel between what Houston's front it has potential to be, but also to what Denver is where the unit as a whole is around. But at the same time, too, going back to the point of 90 and 97, we saw what Christian Barmore did to Quinn Miners, who was named an All-Pro on the offensive line this year.
Mm-hmm.
His post-game press conferences had me in just giggling, just where where he's yeah, we don't give a fuck about All-Pro. But no, and then when I look at the, just capitalizing on turnovers, for this offensive line, I'll say this, because I've said this since March. The right side has never been an issue. Morgan Moses, yeah, he's had some moments. But I think Michael Onwenu's just been a guy who's just gone out there and continued to maul people. We see, because we've kept seeing experiments with him, where, hey, you put him you kick him to the outside, he's not the best tackle. You stick him at right guard, he's I don't want to say perfect there, but it's just he's in the perfect position to do what he does best. When I look at this offense, I'm really trying to find, I don't want to say X factor for this. I really want to find that, who's that Super Bowl hero? And I think there's one player I have that I've really been zeroing in on where I'm it would not shock me to see if not that they have a huge moment, a big game overall, but if they have a few huge moments. And that's the rookie who wears number 18 and Kyle Williams, because we've seen him get downfield. I saw his over for receiving is literally half a yard, which seems insane. But I just look at him where I'm he's had some moments this year where, hey, you get him open in space, he can turn the burners on and go.
Mm-hmm.
I also look at Pop as well, because I also look at the first touchdown against Houston. I believe it was going right towards Pat's seats. Hey, he gets 1 yard and he just takes it to the crib.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest X factor though on this offense though is just how does the left side of the line play, and how can Will Campbell hold up? Because I know Will Campbell took a lot of flack for how he did against Houston and how he did against the Chargers. he did relatively okay against Defensive Player of the Year nominee in Nick Bonino in that AFC Championship game. So we'll see how it goes with Seattle. We'll see what kind of just coverages and schemes they draw up. But I feel like Drake's the kind of quarterback to where he can get mobile on the fly and make those last minute, like, oh, hey, I got pressure coming from here. Hey, I'll roll out here and get a 10, 15 yard, even hell, sometimes 30, 40 yard gain. I'm not worried about that. But I just want to go back to my original point with Kyle Williams, where I just look at it as he's a guy I don't think a lot of people are anticipating. And he always pops up once in a while for that good game. The Buccaneers game, the Giants game, the Ravens game. So why not now in the biggest stage of your career?
Yeah, I like that. I think Kayshon Boutte is going to be the one. I think the Patriots are they're gonna try this a couple times too. They're gonna try to get him matched up one-on-one with Devin Witherspoon, and make Devin Witherspoon contest the fade. I think they're gonna try to get that at least 3 times in this game. And if that is the play they go with, and Devin Witherspoon's a great corner from like the intermediate part of the field down, right? Like you let him play short. That guy is, I mean, a fucking freak of nature. He is phenomenal. His weakness, the deep ball. Kayshon Boutte, the deep ball. So it's like, all right, cool. That's going to be the play. They're going to be looking to get him on some fades, and they're going to test those safeties. Nick Emmanwori, he's a little hobbled right now. He's going to play. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to play, because like unless the ankle fell off, he's going to be there, right? Yeah. Most players in the leading up to the Super Bowl, it's like, if it's not broken, I'm going to be out there. So he's going to be out there. But being out there and being yourself aren't necessarily the same thing. So I think they're going to test it, and they're going to see if he can provide that backup support that those corners are going to need. Especially if they're looking to go deep. I think Reek Woolen on the other side, I think he's a better deep ball contested player. He's just so undisciplined though. So like, I think he can end up in a little bit of trouble as well. But I think the matchup you're going to want to look for is 9-on-21 if you can get that. Seattle's going to go out there. They're going to play with their 2 high safeties, and they're going to kind of force New England travel the length of the field, and see if they can do that. And for my money, I think their best bet is going to be to play man coverage, because the Patriots receivers don't separate as quickly versus man coverage, right? You have a couple man beaters. I know Kyle Williams can go over the top. Kayshon Boutte is a really good receiver against man coverage, because he has the physicality to play through, even if he's not creating massive separation. But the issue is they want to play this too high look, right? They're playing cover 2, they're playing cover 4, they're playing cover 8, they're playing cover 6. They want to have the middle of the field open. They're going to play these safety back coverages, and like, don't allow them to get over the top of you. And if that's going to be the case, that's fine. But if you try to pan that and play 2-man, I think they're going to end up in a lot of trouble, because Drake versus 2-man, he gonna get a scramble on, right? Like he gonna get a scramble on, unless they want to spy him, at which point you're now taking a player out of the pass rush, and that kind of gives him a little more time to figure things out. So I think it's an interesting matchup. I think it's X's and O's wise, it's a lot more up in the air than the talking heads would have you believe. They're like, well, this team is good, this team is bad, so therefore it's going to just go this way. And it's like, no, but like when you look at like the actual matchups, like what this player is good against versus what that player is good against, what this team does well versus what that team does well, it's going to be a really interesting matchup. And we'll see if Josh can win that matchup in terms of scheming up situations. I honestly feel like we're in pretty good hands. Like, it's interesting because going into the playoffs, I tweeted out, I was like, yeah, Seattle's going to win the whole thing, because like they look like an absolute buzzsaw. And I still kind of think like, if I were a betting man, and I am not, but if I were a betting man, I would say like, all right, like I feel pretty. I'd probably throw a little money on the Seahawks. Like I'd probably feel good about that. But the notion that like it is just like lock and just lock it up, throw away the key, you're feeling good, Seattle, get ready for another parade, baby. I think that is an absolute fallacy. If you watch either of these teams all year long, this matchup is just a lot less of a given than people are looking to have it. I know Seattle is great against the run. They're not that great against running backs catching passes out of the backfield. And I think that is going to be where New England's really going to eat. And to that point, I think Ramondre Stevenson could be in for a big day.
Yeah, him or Travion. And to your point about scheming it up, and I think, Cliff, you mentioned, Kyle Williams, and I think, Film Watchers, who's one of my favorite followers on Twitter, he's an awesome film breakdown guy, and he was talking about this 3-by-1 set that the Patriots run, and he was showing multiple looks that the Seahawks gave, where it was a 3-by-1, which means 3 receivers on one side, 1 receiver on the other side, and it ends up being a 1-on-1 on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
And he was showing a few times where it was open, not really open against the Seahawks. Well, and then he shows the Patriots, the Keyshawn Louis touchdown against Derek Stingley. Guess what? On a 3-by-1. The touchdown to Kyle Williams on, I believe it was the Giants game. Guess what? 3-by-1. So it was like they like to do that and isolate one corner, and they'll throw that go ball.
Every time.
Those guys have those release packages, and if you can get that off of Josh Jobe or whomever else it is, even if it's Witherspoon, even if it's Reek Woolen, like they have a chance to come down with that ball, and you hit a few X plays, and all of a sudden this game turns into a high scoring affair. And I think the Patriots in a shootout against the Seahawks, if you're talking about Drake May versus Sam Darnold, I like our chances with Drake May.
Because you have to figure about too this, and also the only reason why I say Kyle Williams, by the way, is just because when I look at like the Super Bowl unsung hero, I can give 2 examples that went against the Patriots. One obviously being Corey Clement in Super Bowl 52, and the other one being Super Bowl 49, where obviously you had Chris Matthews for Seattle. You also had Shane Vereen and Brandon LaFell have pretty key moments in that game as well. I also feel like Brandon LaFell's Patriots tenure just goes very unnoticed by a lot of people, just because he had some really awesome moments.
Legitimately one of my favorite players on that 2014. I was like, God, Jojo LaFell fucking owns.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, but that's why I say Kyle Williams. Like, you're looking for that. Who's that like diamond in the rough player that like, who's this guy? Holy crap, we never heard of him. And us Patriots fans just like, we've known about Kyle Williams. Like McGarvin was on here preaching about him back in like July and August. But if this game gets into a high intensity shootout, that's really where I think the Patriots have the advantage. Now I know everyone's gonna say, "Oh, it's like that Thursday night game against the Rams." It wasn't for Rashid Shaheed returning I believe it was a punt return, and the 2-point conversion. That game was very out of hand at that point. The other point I want to make about Seattle, and everyone's saying, their only losses was San Francisco, Tampa, and then the one game against the Rams where he threw 4 picks. Do we not forget that this team almost lost to Phillip Rivers in his first game in almost 5 years?
It's true. I mean, in fairness, who could have known that Phil Rivers would actually be able to throw the ball?
Goodness. Thing is, that game, he was just throwing some balloons, bro. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing on those throws. Just just gotta hope it gets, hope it happens. But that is a perfect example. Now, I don't think that game is representative of who the Seahawks are, but I think it is representative of the fact that like any team on any given Sunday can find themselves in a dogfight that they have absolutely no business being in.
Yeah, but that's just why I want to bring it up, because I love how it's like, like I've seen too, like with the Patriots as well, where it's like, oh, I took Seattle at -7. I took Seattle at -14. Could this game be that situation? Hopefully not, but it's football. Anything can happen. I just honestly think in my heart of hearts, putting my fandom aside, as long as Drake does Drake, I just don't see a world where this team loses. I think this is a game where shock the world. I think this is hey, who else out there besides having a great NFL playing quarterback? You have your significant other who's become a huge staple within the Patriot community, who makes her food on social media and her baked goods and bakeness and all that fun stuff. He's also the kind of guy where I look at Drake, where I'm just like, he won't ever go out of the way to credit himself. Like, great friend of the show, Kyrie Thompson, had a really fun tweet. Also, as I look it up, I love the fact the stat about Larry Fitzgerald coming up was he had more tackles in his NFL career than drops. He had 41 tackles, but only 29 drops in his entire career.
Insane.
But the tweet was basically about Drake May, who he models his game after. I try to model my game after myself. I wouldn't say I try to model my game after anybody anymore. I'm at that stage now where I'm an NFL quarterback trying to make a name for myself. And Kyrie basically just goes, the most mild-mannered way someone has ever said, I'm him. And I honestly agree with that. When I look at that, when you look at Drake, because for Drake, I look at him in 2 lights. There's 2 games always come to mind this season where I'm like, this kid's different. It was that Buffalo Bills game when they were plus 7.5, and they won that game outright. They went into Buffalo. You can say what you want about how Tampa ended the season, but the way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game went is a lot how I think this game can go Sunday. You bent a little, you don't break completely. Because remember, Drake had that really bad red zone interception to Zaire McCollum, I think, late in the fourth quarter, but the defense held its own. Another player who could step up and be big, and we just haven't talked about him yet, Stephon Diggs, who, say what you want about what's going on about the off-the-field stuff. Him and Barmore, same thing, too. We'll get into that in the offseason. Whatever happens there. But Diggs is the kind of guy where it's just like, you need to make a play. You're going to get him the ball. I completely agree. Like, I've seen people say with, is it Travion Henderson that could have a big game? And I was just like, Travion's Travion, but I'm just like, Ramondre is that Swiss Army knife. Mm-hmm. And I just really think that it's just all setting up for a perfect world. And I'm also ready for the Mac Hollins 3 receptions, like 29-yard game, but 2 of those receptions were 3rd and long. Yeah. It's just, I feel like this is a real encapsulation of like, hey, this is what this team has been. You just haven't been seeing it yet because obviously, look, they played a lot less primetime games, a lot of 1 o'clocks. But there's a take that I've been sitting on for going into next year that I just came up with and I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but I think regardless of what happens Sunday in our division alone, I still feel like Buffalo is going to be under a lot more pressure going into next year than New England, regardless if the Patriots win or lose, just because, for them, if the Patriots lose, for them, it is what it is. They can celebrate in the moment. They can laugh and cheer and sing like they have been on Twitter. I know McGarvin started retweeting because friend of Pat's and I, Greg Thompson's been putting out what I'm pretty sure is troll tweets to piss people off. But if the Patriots win, that opens a lot of doors and questions of like, hey, why hasn't Josh done it? Why hasn't Joe done it? Why hasn't Lamar did it? This kid's in the 2nd year in his league, and the Patriots now have the most Super Bowls out of any team of all time. So there's a lot of doors that are going to be open. But the one thing I'm looking forward to is them winning and just those receipts of people being bad on the Patriots, getting cashed, or people, stupidly walking back their comments. Just like, this team wasn't anything. We didn't believe in this team. There's a lot of people that are starting to, wake up. I've seen a lot of players so far picking the Patriots to win this game because they see what they see from Vrabel. Just a matter of time of what if. And one other thing I want to get into, though, going away from the game for a second. There's a certain player that's out there right now whose team is the 1st overall pick, whose reports are coming out that he's probably not going to be on the Raiders next year. From a logistical standpoint of does it make – obviously it makes sense because who wouldn't want Max Crosby on their football team? But for what the New England Patriots are going forward, is the right time to acquire him make sense? Or do you think that's instead of acquiring one big superstar talent, you kind of just accumulate, you spread that over? Or do you just say, hey, we're going all in because we know that after next year, Drake's probably getting $60 million?
I don't know. It won't be popular, but personally, I think the cost of acquisition is going to be so high, and so it's just going to be tough. Like, I don't know that he'll go for the Khalil Mack package, right? I've seen a couple people throw that out, like, oh, maybe he'll go for 2 first-rounders and some fillers, but Khalil Mack was an All-Pro like 4 times by the time he got traded. By the time he got traded to the Browns, to the Bears, pardon, he had already been an All-Pro three separate times, 3 first team, 1 second team, or I think that's right. But all the same, I don't. Max Crosby has been second team 3 times, no first team. So I think it won't be as much, but I still think it'll be pretty pricey. I think when these kind of trade opportunities present themselves, people get really excited. They're like, oh yeah, if you could just send them a 3rd round pick. And I'm like, that's not going to cut it, brother. Like, let's be serious here. That's not going to cut it.
Well, he was a 4th round pick. So, I mean,
So, it's just plus value. Why shouldn't they take it? In truth, it'll probably cost a 1st and a day 2 pick and then another day 2 pick in, next year. Does that make sense for the Patriots? I personally don't think so. I think they still have spots on the roster that need draft attention, right? Like spots that are okay right now, but like you
Edge
kind
and
of gotta
linebacker.
like they need absolutely they need a linebacker. They need a pass rusher in the worst way, and obviously that would fill the
Great
void,
year
right?
for it.
Max Crosby, oh great, pass rush is solved. They also need an offensive tackle, right? And that's not to say necessarily, you got to replace Will Campbell, but Morgan Moses is going to be 36 years old. You need someone there, right? That they're thin at that spot in terms of like future proofing. So sure, you can spend, a first, a second, and maybe another second in the future on Max Crosby, or you can just like kind of keep doing what you're doing and reload the roster because you need a pass rusher, you need an edge rusher, you need a pass rusher, you need an offensive tackle, you need better linebackers, and truth be told, I think you need another safety. I think Jalen Hawkins played absolutely out of his mind. However, he can't be like the guy, right? Like I don't know that he can be like, oh, you can just pencil him in, just re-sign Jalen Hawkins and you're all set of safety. Craig Woodson has been incredible down the stretch. I thought he was a year away. Midway through the season, I tweeted out like he's like a year away from being like really good. And then like in the playoffs, he's just been really good. And you're like, oh, I guess he wasn't a year away. He was only half a year away. That's pretty sick. But I think they need another safety there. I just think they need more depth. The roster's a little top heavy in terms of like guys you feel comfortable starting with. And I think if you want to restock the cupboard, so to speak, I think the best way to do that is to keep your picks and kind of do what you did last year where you have all your picks and you hit on them, just hit on the guys that you draft and you're feeling pretty good. Would it be exciting to acquire Max Crosby? Absolutely. But I just don't know that the Patriots are like, I think we have to keep in mind that this is year one of a rebuild. I know we're in the Super Bowl, so it's going to feel like, oh no, just you're here. You're here. But I think kind of rushing that is how you end up with, and this is obviously not the same team, but it's how you end up with the Mac Jones situation that we ended up with in 2021, where they went all in free agency. They kind of like jump started and got themselves into the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, and everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, we're here. And then we saw what happened, going forward. Obviously, the coordination, offensively wasn't where it needed to be, but more importantly, the roster just wasn't that good. Like it just wasn't that good. And so, that second draft after Mac Jones, that first draft after Mac Jones, the one where they took, Tyquan Thornton, Bailey Zappi, Pierre Strong. I love Pierre Strong. Kevin Harris. They took all those guys, and none of those guys like mattered.
Cole Strange.
Right, Cole Strange. Marcus Jones. They got Marcus Jones. That was pretty cool. But outside of that, like, they you end up with a situation where you look back at it and you're like, oh, they went to the Super Bowl, they went to the playoffs as with a rookie and Mac Jones, but the roster wasn't that good, and they decided, oh, we're just gonna like reload and we're good, and it still wasn't that good in 22, wasn't that good in 23. I just don't want them to make the same mistake of trying to, to skip ahead on the rebuild rate. Like do it properly so you don't have to do it again.
Well, you look what happened in Washington this year, right? Whereas Washington, and obviously Jade Daniels gets hurt, right? But it's like it's the same thing. You trade a second round pick for an aging corner who just isn't good anymore. You give up a pick for that, and that's
sign
a
bunch of
lot.
30-year-olds,
right? And so it doesn't benefit you. You're not getting that much better. Now, I will say, if you're telling me the Patriots win the Super Bowl, or even if they don't, and you have to give up a first-round pick this year and a fourth-round pick next year, I'm taking that deal 100 times out of 100. Sure. You tell me I can give up pick 31 or 32 in the draft this year and combine it with a fourth-round pick next year for, a top 3 to 5 edge rusher in the NFL? I'm doing that because you're not getting that type of player at pick 31 or 32. But I also wouldn't hate them trading down to pick 36, right? Someone wants to move up to get that extra fifth year of contract eligibility for their rookie. You move back, you pick up an extra pick. You have an early pick on day 2 of the draft, which gives you some flexibility of, do I want to move up? Do I want to move back down again? Do I want to, where do I want to go? We could draft an off-ball linebacker. You can draft an offensive tackle, like McGarvin said. Like, there are all these different things that you need. You need spots still, right? And edge rusher is obviously a big spot, especially since Caleb Von Chasen, you assume, is going to move on. The other option is if you believe that Caleb Von Chasen is as good as he has played lately, is you could just pay him and not give up any of your draft picks and then just draft and roll with him as your edge rusher. Now, I mean, Max Crosby is significantly better than Chasen, but if you like him and you can get him for $16 million a year, as opposed to the 30 that you're paying for, for Max Crosby, you're not giving up your draft pick and you're paying him less. So, it's kind of that give and take about what do you really want to do? And I just think, as much as I'd love to see Max Crosby in a Patriots uniform, I would love it. It's got to make sense. And we're rebuilding the team. I think that, and look, this is what they did at the trade deadline. Everyone went nuts and said, you got to get a guy, you got to get a guy, you got to get a guy, you got to get a guy. The depth is going to kill us. And they sat and didn't do anything. And what happened? Elijah Ponder came alive. And, Tyler Durden, which, by the way, he's Tyler Durden from now on. Forget about Corey Durden. The guy plays with so much hate in his heart. We got to call him Tyler Durden. So Tyler Durden, right, comes alive on the defensive line. Right, Leonard Taylor blocks a field goal that wins them.
God,
that
that guy's had a month and a half, huh?
Right, and so it's one of those things where you look at it and you just say, like, man, all these guys that the Patriots weren't expecting out of, they stepped up and elevated their game, and the Patriots gave up nothing for anybody. And look at what's happened. Now you build in this edge rusher Ponder, who next year, I don't know, he could be a guy. And I love what, there was an interesting story about him from Cal Poly. Cal Poly's that's not an NFL school. And he had offers to go play elsewhere, and he didn't want to. He didn't want to leave the program because he loved the idea of graduating from Cal Poly. That's where he wanted to go. Obviously, he's a smart guy. He was going to Cal Poly, right? And he loved the idea of graduating from there, and he wanted to stay true to the coaches and true to – that sounds exactly like the type of guy that Mike Vrabel wants here, right? And so if you can turn him into a player and you keep chasing and you keep your draft pick, I think that might be a better option than trading, multiple, especially if you've got to trade a first and a day 2 pick for Max Crosby. That to me is a better option than trading a first round pick for Max Crosby.
Because the way I look at the Max Crosby stuff, it's like we say, would it be great to have Max Crosby on our team? Without a doubt, absolutely. But I just look at this team where I'm like, not where are you going to be next year? Where are you going to be in the next 3 to 5 years? When Drake's that $60 million quarterback, when Christian Gonzalez is going to be a $25 to $30 million cornerback. We talked about the 2022 draft class as a joking matter. That 2023 draft class is coming to pay, and there's a lot of guys that you want to keep. That was a great parting gift from Bill Belichick. Besides obviously Keon White and I would say Chad Ryland, what does Pop Douglas get? I know it's probably a cheaper end contract. We brought it up on the show before, but the Keyshawn Boutte contract is going to be very interesting. I think that's something that kind of goes into the summer. I think Pop Douglas is going to be, hey, this is what we're giving you. This is what's going on. And hey, yeah, I'll take it. Pop Douglas seems like that kind of guy. It's just Keyshawn Boutte's a more tough one. Marte Mapu as well is another one as well, where it's like, where do we go about with him as well? They're about to do MVP as well, so we'll keep tabs on what happens there. But I still look at this team, though, where it's just, hey, you got to plan out because you don't want to get into that situation then. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to be what the Kansas City Chiefs have become, but look at what the Chiefs are now to where it's, yeah, every year you're managing money because you gave your franchise quarterback so much. Plus, injuries, people have caught up to you. He wins MVP, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
No, he doesn't. And I'm
I thought you meant Stafford when you said he, but yeah.
JSN won Offensive Player of the Year,
So
and Matthew Stafford just won MVP. And I love it. I love Drake May, and I want Drake May to win multiple MVPs, but I want to win on Sunday. And I think losing the MVP, especially for a team that's being counted out and being discounted, and that to me, that's what I was rooting for. That's what I wanted. Love Drake. Thought he played like the MVP. Thought he should have been the MVP. But I'm happy it's Matthew Stafford because they're in the Super Bowl. If they weren't in the Super Bowl, I'd be pissed right now.
Yeah.
But they're in the Super Bowl, and I think that this helps them towards winning this game.
Yep. That's it. I want want to go back to the Super Bowl now. I just wanted to ask about the Max Crosby stuff because, it's just like it's in the news. It's been relevant. Like it's being talked about now where Jay Glazer came out and basically said, hey, he's not going to be there next year. Also, I love for the Raiders how everyone's like, oh, Fernando's going to go there and do what he did in Indiana. And I'm like, you seen what Indiana had versus what the Las Vegas Raiders have? I'm like, I'm not saying Fernando's going to be a bust, but I just don't think it's realistic to automatically assume what Fernando is compared to the Raiders.
Can I just give you Matthew Stafford, 24 votes, Drake May, 23 votes, Josh Allen got 2, Justin Herbert got 1. It's crazy.
What's for Justin Herbert?
It's fucking league.
Justin Herbert.
Guy
Justin
wasn't even
Herbert.
good. They say, oh, he fucking sucks, and that's why the Patriots advanced. The guy can't fucking play. MVP.
A vote for Justin Herbert is the reason why Drake May didn't win MVP. Think about that for a second. That's wild.
Oh my God. But going back to the game for Sunday, I don't want to ask for an offensive X factor. I want to ask, what's a crazy hot take that you think we'll see like on the offensive side? Because I think I have one that I think could very well happen.
Start. You start it off.
Okay, I'm going to start. I really think the man Pat has 2 jerseys framed behind him.
Yeah.
I think one of those men is getting a touchdown on Sunday on the offensive side of the football. I think Josh is going to get deep in his bag, and we're going to see some just weird, goofy stuff like the potential, Efton Chisholm, Drake May pass that almost happened versus Houston. But I really have a feeling we're going to see Marcus Jones in some weird disguise plays, and everyone's going to be like, oh, there goes Marcus. And I can see Marcus getting into the end zone, kind of like the play that, worked against Buffalo in 2022. That's just one thing I think, hey, I would not be shocked to see that happen.
I like that. I think there's a chance that he gets on the field and he's a decoy because the entire defense is going to say, Marcus Jones on the field. We got to go. Antennas up. We got to go cover that guy. And, they run him in some jet sweep type of action. And, you throw a pass backside of that or something like that, or you run off of it or whatever the case may be. But, it ends up being some sort of decoy move. But I love the idea of Marcus playing on offense. Offensively, wouldn't we all be shocked if they didn't come out with Thayer Munford and Jack Westover in their first drive? I think they're just going to try to pound the ball down Seattle's throat to start the game, and try to make Seattle throw another defensive lineman on the field. Now you got 5 defensive linemen instead of 4. You're taking one guy out of the secondary. You make things a little bit easier for Drake May in the passing game. And, you force them to try to stop the run and sell out to try to stop the run because that's what you're going to do. And then that opens up the pass game a little bit for you.
Yep. The other thing, too, I'm going to say is I love the amount of Boston personalities that have been meeting the Pop-Tart Bowl mascot, including very good friend of the pro, although it didn't go well for one friend of the program, and Sophie Weller, who apparently got chased by the mascot. That'd be a video I would love to see. But yeah, I literally think Josh, because I think Josh is going to be in his bag, and we're going to see some weird stuff on Sunday. The other one I was too crazy to say is Efton Chisholm, but I just don't think he's going to dress on Sunday. I just think,
I
would love
think he's going to dress. That's
pretty
safe bet.
It would just be awesome to see, but I'm just like, he's going to be in street clothes come Sunday.
You know who's going to have a touchdown?
Who?
Khyiris Tonga.
Oh, I'd love that.
I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if he's rushing it or if he's catching it, but he's going to have one.
I have another crazier one.
Milton Williams?
Vidarian Lowe.
Oh, that's not that crazy. That guy, tight end 1, baby.
Or what about, because I started saying it after I saw the photo. What if they do something crazy and, like, I don't know, put Michael Onwenu, like there's a photo of like Ramondre Stevenson and Michael Onwenu where like they're like Owenu's under center. So what if you do something where you get Onwenu like out and open and just like, I would love to see a thick 6 touchdown from one of the guys. I just think I only say Vidarian Lowe because we saw it last year against the Rams, and also because he is that, like, can be brought in as that eligible extra left tackle, where it's like, oh, hey, they're going to run it. No, they're going to kick to the outside and just do something like that. I really think I'm just really excited to see what they have planned for Sunday.
Also, same.
It's just and the chess match really, and Josh McDaniels wins assistant coach of the year, and I think rightfully so, and a lot of media personalities around Boston were ho-humming that pick, of him as the offensive coordinator, and he's not that good, and he's not as good as everyone says he is, and McDaniels this and McDaniels that, and and all he did was mentor Drake May to almost winning the MVP. And going from an offense that frankly sucked last year to an offense that, was really great. I mean, you think about too, Jacoby Brissett, I know we all say that Jacoby Brissett stinks. I don't know. He looked pretty good in Arizona to me. So like there's a guy that couldn't even throw the ball last year for the Patriots. And you think that maybe part of that might have been the offensive coaching staff because he was lighting it up in Arizona this year.
Yep. He looked like a competent player after looking incompetent all of last year.
Yeah.
But then again, you think about the fact that like literally every offensive player just looked worse in AVP's offense than they ever have. Like everyone had like a career worst year. And it's like, oh shit. Except Kayshon Boutte, he had a great year, but everyone else just had like a career worst year. And you're like, huh. Maybe. And
I wanted to like AVP. I did. I wanted to like AVP. He seemed like a nice guy. He seems like a guy that, that I think is a decent coach, but my goodness, just didn't have it.
Yes, when it came to the X's and O's, you're just like watching it and you're like, this guy has no answers. Like, there are just no answers. It was nuts. Like, absolutely crazy. And it made the O-line so much worse than it had any right to be, right? Just because, like, they couldn't counter anything the defense threw at them. I'm like, Alex, pardon, do something. Like, do something. Like, these guys are getting killed. He's just like, they're like, why don't we use a little more motion, a little more misdirection? You go, oh, we just won't use misdirection for no reason. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
put the guys in motion, would you? A little bit.
A little bit of motion for the love of the Lord.
Right. Brutal.
Yeah, just like I will say this though, I was the same way with DeMarcus Covington as well, but he was the guy where it's like, hey, when you realize you get promoted, now you're important at your job, and it's like the dog. But I feel like we don't talk about Jeremy Springer enough. The fact that, hey, they could have got rid of him, but we are all like, I was banging the drum on this show saying, hey, bring him back. Special teams, like that's the one weird concept with the Patriots. Special teams has always been awesome. And this year, it's been. Brandon Schooler is just really coming out of his mind. Like we're seeing, I think, the Brandon Schooler of old recently, where he's just like a gunner and the ball's there. Guess who's right there? It's wild to think that we literally went from Matthew Slater to Brandon Schooler.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty spoiled over there,
One thing I just want to say before we go, because obviously with today being the 28-3 anniversary 9 years ago, I was like, I watched the highlight pack. It's hard to wrap my mind around how quickly Dante Hightower got around Devontae Freeman on that sack, on the strip sack, which I still say without that happening, that's where if that doesn't happen, they don't win the game. I know everyone likes to say, the Julian Edelman catch. No, the Hightower sack is the play that catalyzed that comeback.
Well, absolutely. And it's funny because, as I'm sure most people remember, Tevin Coleman gets hurt the play before, and Tevin Coleman was their pass protection back. And so he goes out and, Matty Peace talked about it. And he said, look, we don't think Freeman knows what he's doing back there. So I want you to be in the middle. And then after they check to what's going on, I want you to move outside and come off the edge. And Freeman saw in the middle, looked in the middle, said, okay, the pressure's coming from the middle, and never looked outside. And he was going to release in the flat. And all of a sudden, Hightower was swimming over his shoulder. He was like, where the hell did that guy come from? Never saw him. And that's that combination of a great player making a great play in a big moment and the Patriots coaching staff coaching around the Falcons coaching staff. And that's a situation where you have to say, hey, this is why we win. That's why we win the game, because we make the right call in the right moment, just like Belichick did 2 years earlier on the goal line against Seattle, where it's, the coaching staff is making the right call at the right time and outmaneuvering the other team. Again, just like in the Seattle Super Bowl, Atlanta's got the upper hand here. They're up by 16 points still at that time, right? Like it's a mountain for them to climb in the fourth quarter. All they have to do is go down and get any points, and the game is over. And instead, you get a straight
just
back.
Score once, and you win the
Correct.
Super Bowl. Just
Yes.
I couldn't do it.
The also too is just, and I know it's losing effort. That Julio Jones catch is still just unbelievable. Like it's just not even the catch; it's just him getting both feet down. I'm just like
the catch. I mean, especially because the coverage was really good. Eric Rowe did a really good job on that. It was just like it's not going to matter, man. Like guy caught the ball out of the ball was out of bounds. He was just like, no, we're gonna pull that bad boy back in. I'm gonna keep my feet. Like that is one of those catches where if the Falcons finish that game, it's one of those plays that would make my stomach churn every time I saw it on the timeline.
It'd be the David Tyree equivalent.
It'd be like I can't fucking believe that.
Like, I think that would go down in history as one of the single greatest plays in Super Bowl history. If that game was tied or something like that, and they kick a field goal to win the game, there was nothing. There was no window. To your point, McGarvin, Eric Rowe had phenomenal coverage. There literally wasn't a window. Matt Ryan is escaping out to his right, and he just throws it. And Julio just makes an insane catch. And on that play, very similar to what happened in the on the Tevin Coleman play, their right tackle gets hurt on that play. So what do the Patriots do? They go right at the backup right tackle. But whoever they send, and I'm not sure who they sent, to be very honest with you, goes too wide. Beats the right tackle, but goes too wide and allows Ryan to flush out to his right and step up and make that throw. And again, it's an impossible throw. It's an impossible catch. And they make it happen in both of them. And, it's only by the grace of God that the Patriots end up pushing them out of field goal range and they have to punt the ball. And as a Falcons fan, you just got to be thinking, we just made one of the best plays you ever see and should have iced the game, and we somehow lost. Like, how is that even possible? It's just
Trey Flowers getting the sack on third down.
They were in field goal range off of that catch. It's like, oh, cool. All we have to do, run it twice,
take a knee
3 times,
take a knee 3 straight times.
That's great.
It's crazy.
If it's ands and buts for Candy and Nets, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And then the only other play I'd like to think to obviously a few days ago, but the Jason McCourty rundown of Brandon Cooks on, I believe it was in the third quarter of Super Bowl 53 as well. It's just one of those plays where I'm like, yep. I know everyone, because the one from that one everyone talks about, is Stephon Gilmore just muffin in the air. But the Jason McCourty rundown of Cooks is just one of a kind.
Him jogging away after that, no big deal. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I didn't just make like a touchdown saving play in the Super Bowl in the biggest moment of my life. See, it's fine.
I think he only jogged away like that because he hit the shit out of the goal, hit it and bounced off and just kept it going. Like, all right, well, he's like, I just gotta walk it off. This hurts.
Okay. Before we wrap up, what's probably been, like I said, this is an episode that's been so much fun because the Warriors are coming out to play, and they're going to continue to come out to play Sunday night.
I've never seen that movie. I don't really get it, but I'm happy everyone's happy.
Don't watch the movie before the game because let's hope that the game ends a lot better than the movie ends because it doesn't end well.
The amount of times I saw that where I saw that before the AFC Championship game where people are saying that's like, let's hope the game ends differently than the movie did. But the one thing I will say about the best part of that whole clip is not the fact of Mac doing it, but is Andy walking right beside him, just like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is this guy doing? Like, you can tell he's just like trying to keep like this straight mug face. Obviously, around this time of year, I love to ask people, hey, who's going to win the Super Bowl? I ain't doing that here because we all know who we all want to win the Super Bowl. Do either of you gentlemen have a score prediction?
27-24 Patriots.
31-27 Patriots.
27-21 Patriots. I also can see a world though where this comes down to, and also one other touchdown score I think could happen is I know everyone loves Hunter Henry. I think there's a chance Austin Hooper scores a touchdown in this game as well.
Sure about that.
Plus 700 if you want it. I just think there's a world too where this comes down to the leg of Andy Borregales, and we've seen him do it before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Imagine. Whew. Goodness sake.
It's going to be stressful. It's going to be fun. hopefully in 72 hours, the three of us are elated with joy and euphoria. And hopefully a few days later, you two gentlemen get to go to downtown Boston and watch some duck boats go all around that wonderful, wonderful city that I'm hoping and probably looking like I'll be coming back to this fall.
I love it. Love to see it. My two oldest girls and I, it's kind of interesting. I have this like weird tickle in my throat. And I'm thinking that there's a chance that I might be sick on Tuesday. It's weird. It's like I just kind of feel it coming on. You know what I mean? It's so I don't really know. It's kind of one of those delayed sicknesses. You know what I mean?
But you know it's coming. You can feel it.
I can feel it. You know what I mean?
I got you. I think I'm coming down with the same thing.
Yeah, and then just on the I wish I had the same thing too, but I'll just be at work being like, yeah. And then
you're
obviously
a little far away for that.
Yeah, I'm too far away from that, but obviously as well though. But I can say this with the fall comment though is that Pat, there's a photo of Pat in my basement just because there's like the whole photo collage from that first trip that I made. What was 4 years ago now when we came to see Detroit. I need to see Patriots. I need to see a Patriots home game that's not Bailey Zappi starting a quarterback.
Yes, yes, and you will see that unless it's against the Cleveland Browns, which I don't think they're playing next year. But you never know.
Nope. One more thing, actually, there's a trivia question I had heard that I wanted to ask the two of you to see if you could figure this out.
Okay.
Name me the quarterback number that has never started a game or has either started or won a Super Bowl.
The number of a quarterback that's never started or won. Well, obviously started or won would be the same thing, right?
Yeah, so it's a quarterback that's never won what number for a quarterback has never won a Super Bowl?
Won or started?
I believe it's one. I'll double check.
Okay. I never won a Super Bowl. Well, Staubach was 12. Brady was 12.
Breeze was 9.
Yeah.
Ben was
Len Dawson
7.
was Dawson 9? I think Len Dawson was 9. Rodgers was 12. I mean, so Neil O'Donnell was flashing in my head at 14. They obviously didn't win.
I believe it is win. It is win the Super Bowl.
It is win. So I'm going to say, since they're the two playing in this one, I'm going to say either 10 or 14 is going to be my guess.
Well, 10 crushed our soul twice.
Eli.
Yeah.
God damn it. I blocked him out of my head.
But fun fact, though, Eli is not the last quarterback to have been in a Super Bowl who wore the number 10 as a quarterback.
Been in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wait for it.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, Stafford was 9.
14.
Jimmy G. Yeah, Jimmy G.
The number is 6, by the way.
Number 6. That checks out.
I heard it on Pro Football Talk yesterday, and I was like,
who the hell wears 6?
Not many guys.
Dart's the only one that comes to mind right now.
Yeah, Jackson Dart. It's not a great QB number, especially if you don't have the good. If you got the boxy 6s, that looks terrible. You know what I mean? Like, or the Ole Miss 6 on Jackson Dart looks good. The boxy Giants 6 looks like crap.
Yeah,
but you know.
Well, no, I heard. And then the number 10 one was Peach. It was on Peach Traeger, and obviously Hembo from ESPN always has like the most obscure trivia. And that was one there where it's like a quarterback who's been in the Super Bowl who's worn 10, but obviously people go to Eli, but no. And then, so that's our little trivia corner. It ended up.
Was 14 with the last 14 wasn't Neil O'Donnell, was it? I don't know. I'm curious about that one.
Is Brock Purdy 14 or is he 13?
13.
13. 9, 15.
I don't know.
I don't know who the last number 14 was in the Super Bowl. I know the last number 16, I believe, was Jared Goff.
But that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And then number 9, obviously the last number 9 was Nick Foles, but we like to block that out of our memories too.
Oh, Lord.
No, Joe Burrow's 9.
Oh, yeah, right. And Matt Stafford. That was a 9 matchup.
I was going to say Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite MVP.
I'm not even mad that he got it. I'm mostly mad that someone voted for fucking Justin Herbert, bro.
It's crazy. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Justin Herbert got a vote. Like, they were like, yeah, the best player, the most valuable player in the league is Justin fucking Herbert. I didn't even pass for 4,000 yards. He's the MVP. Holy shit. Oh, my God.
Obviously,
absolute clown show with the media, man. I tell
I
you,
know-
I understand why they're the ones who get the votes, but goodness gracious.
all I know is Tony Dungy's a spineless coward. The main thing, though, the funniest one with that, though, is too, because obviously Pat's a teacher, but there's the one teacher on TikTok. I think she lives in Miami and basically rode to 2,000 yards for Tua. And like in November, someone was just like, yeah, he's not getting that. You can stop, drop the chart now. He's only at like 1,900 or like 20, just like 2,000 yards halfway through the season. Gentlemen, I don't know where you guys are watching the game Sunday. Wherever you watch it, whoever you're with, have a blast. Hopefully, the next time we talk, we're all feeling very, very good about our football team.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Seventh heaven. Let's just hope, like we like to say, that the Warriors come out to play. We're not going to watch the movie. That's going to have a different ending.
That's correct.
Let's finish this off right. Let's end this damn story. Have a great one, everybody. We all we got. We all we need. Hey,
that's right.
Ain't nobody got to like us. I like us.
That's right.